saw a werewolf with a Chinese menu in his hand, walking through the streets of Soho in the rain. He was looking for the place called Lee Ho Books, for to get a big dish of beef chow mein. Ooh, the werewolves of London. London. You hear them hollering around your kitchen door. You better not let him in. A little old lady got mutilated late last night. Werewolves of London again. Ooh, the werewolves of London. The werewolves of London. He's a hairy-handed gent who ran among the Kent. Lately he's been overheard in Mayfair. Better stay away from him. He'll rip your lungs out, Jim. Ah, but I'd like to meet his tailor. Ow! Ooh, the werewolves of London. I saw Long Shady walking with the Queen, doing the werewolves of London. I saw Long Shady Jr. walking with the Queen, doing the werewolves of London. I saw a werewolf drinking a pina colada and Trader Vicks, and his hair was perfect.
from Studio 120 at Westfield Technical Academy, this is WCPC Channel 15 at 89.5 FM, WSKB Westfield.
Support for the community programming of WSKB is provided by the Dunkin' Donut Shops of Westfield and the Sardinia family. It's nice to know that even as the world changes, Dunkin' Coffee remains the same at 7 convenient locations throughout Westfield.
Wow, it is Tuesday. My gosh, did I do something wrong here? We've got all this new equipment. Wow, it's Tuesday, everyone. And I'm dressed like a golden leaf of autumn.
Look over at the monitor, Bob. That's where the camera is.
All right, yeah. And, oh, my God, wait a minute. I'm getting phone calls from Hollywood. I'm
watching a kitty play in the background.
Oh my God, I got two of my favorite people.
She's having a good time.
Oh yeah, the dog is barking.
Oh, the kitty's playing.
Oh, the kitty's playing in the background. That's a
She's
black
having
cat.
a grand old time.
Mary Bonacci, is your cat a black cat?
He is a tuxedo cat.
A tuxedo cat. Okay.
Yes.
Oh my God.
She's having a
Sometimes
grand old time.
Right, so Mark Auerbach. This cat is right up your alley, Mark Auerbach, from Mark Auerbach Public Relations from everywhere, and Mary Bonacci from Westfield State.
Hello.
Yeah, do you guys know one another at all?
I know you by reputation, and I also know that you're doing Deflator Mouse at Westfield.
That's right. And I have always enjoyed your assessment of local happenings. And when my kids were little, I was like, yet another thing I can't see.
Oh.
But I get to enjoy them through your writing, so thank you.
Oh, yeah. Mark writes for, several publications, including, look, I always bring in your articles from the Westfield News. Now, this is last week.
I never see them in print. I only see them online.
Well, you can take them home with you today if you like.
Okay. Wow, how cool is this?
Lucky you.
Yeah. Look at this. Okay, so we've got...
It's a love fest.
Oh, my God, it's a total love fest. This is our Halloween show, everybody. My name is Bob Plass. I'm from WestfieldOnWeekends.com. You want to know what's happening at Westfield on Weekends? Go to WestfieldOnWeekends.com. We're on Facebook. There are so many wonderful events and activities about to happen. We just had Pumpkin Fest, as you know. We've put that to bed, so to speak. However, with great memories and thoughts of the success of it. But we are now working on, and I have gone into a hole. I've gone into the December Fest cave, okay? So, do you know, I've always been in a hole.
To the back cave, Bob.
Yeah. Mark, you can chime in with any kind of
witty
lucky comment if you like.
Bob, you're just lucky that the cat didn't hear all your paper rustling, because she would have been over Mary's shoulder looking, going, where's the paper? Where's the paper?
Oh, yeah. Well,
Careful, he sometimes doubles as a scarf.
My fiance's cat does the same thing.
Oh, my
Cleo
God.
does the same thing.
Holy mother. Would you call yourself a cat lady, Mary?
In a way of speaking, yes. He's a cat. He said, I am also childless because the kids left home. So I got their cat, and I'm no longer having...
Well, just to be clarified, so you're not having child defense, what do you call that child services calling you. The kids didn't get it. Your 6 and 7-year-old didn't get in the car and went out on their own or whatever. They're not 6 and 7. They're like now
22.
Oh no! Wait a minute. Anton is still Anton is not 22.
No, Stephen is.
But tell me,
Anton is 19.
19 and 22. These kids were like little babes when I first met them, and now
we're getting older, Bob.
Now they can look at now they can call me Grandpa without even a blink of the eye. You know, before they didn't know who the hell I was. But at any rate, hey. So Westfield on Weekends is doing Decemberfest. Our Tree Jubilee is coming up. If you know anyone that would like to donate a tree or a wreath, or an organization that wants to donate a tree or a wreath, get in touch with us at westfieldonweekends.com. We are going to extend the Puerto Rican Experience, our great art show, art exhibit with artists from Westfield State. That's George Ramirez, who is a wonderful art professor up there. And he's a New Yorican, as well as an anonymous artist whose name is Pecador, which means sinner in Spanish. Yeah. And we have work directly by two women from Puerto Rico that are wonderful. Agnes Sweeney from the Westfield Puerto Rican Association has gone down and purchased, and we have them on exhibit until now. It's going to be around November, maybe 8th, 9th, something like that, because we're preparing for a wonderful installation for the holidays called Once Upon a Winter's Day. And we're doing, it's going to be all frou-frou and lights and what. It's going to look like the opening of a Broadway show, Mark.
I think it's great. I think it's great. Of everything, the programs that you do and the services that are provided to the people of Westfield and the surrounding areas. Pumpkin Fest. I know people from my neighborhood that went to Westfield for Pumpkin Fest, and I don't know how they knew about it, but they said it was fun, and there are a couple of new restaurants in town.
Oh, yeah.
And they had a great time.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, Westfield's the place to be. Mary has been up and around and working. You've been struggling with a little foot issue, right, Mary? I don't know why. Should we bring
don't
up?
mention it,
Oh,
Bob.
all right. Did you want to show?
Just forget. There. I'm not supposed to be wearing this anymore.
Oh, look at that. Oh, my God, help me.
I wore one for 6 months.
Mark wore one for 6 months.
I'm so sorry.
Yeah.
And they don't come in colors to match your outfits. I mean, like I was wearing it in the summer. They don't come in white. They only come in one color, and they're kind of yucky.
Well, and they don't have a summer weight either.
No. Do you have to wear that? You don't have to wear them in bed, do you?
Well, my lovely doctor has called me in to give me a tongue lashing, I'm sure. So I'm wearing...
Oh, my God. And you've been on a tricycle or something. You've been on a tricycle or something? What do you call that thing?
Oh, how I wish I... No, I was not allowed to get the little cart thing that so many people enjoy after surgery. No, I just had to limp along.
Oh,
no,
man.
They wouldn't give me a cart either. It was you get out of bed, you use a walker, you go from walker to cane.
Oh, I see.
It's just newfound sympathy for everybody out there who's dealing with surgical recovery, because, boy, it's not for sissies, is it?
Oh, man.
It is not. It is not.
Yeah. Today is National Oatmeal Day. I just wanted
It's what?
National Oatmeal Day.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I really love oatmeal. And do you think that oatmeal is underrated, or do you think that people choose oatmeal over cereal now because they're told that it will reduce your heart and all that sort of stuff?
I don't know. I alternate. I do oatmeal one day, and because I lived down south for a long time, I do grits the next. I love grits with butter and maple syrup.
Really?
Yeah, I know a lot of people like cheese grits or shrimp and grits and stuff. I like it for breakfast with butter and maple syrup. So I alternate. One day is grits, the next day is oatmeal.
This is a stupid question, but I'll ask it anyway. Maybe Mary can solve it. Is grits? What kind of grain are grits?
Grits are corn and hominy.
Corn and hominy. So there are grits are made of two grains, a corn grain and a hominy grain?
I think hominy is a processed form of corn.
Oh, okay.
Or a type of
corn.
When you were living in Memphis out west, you were from Memphis, weren't you? No, wait a minute. You're from St. Louis. Where are you from, Mayor?
Well, I was born in Kansas City.
Oh, that's it. I know it has something to do with music.
And barbecue. Yeah. Don't forget the barbecue.
Oh, all right. Okay. So does grits go out to Kansas City?
Somewhat, but it's much more of a southern thing. a lot of people up here in the Northeast don't realize Kansas is not a southern state.
Oh.
I went to Kansas City for a work project once, and Kansas City surprised me because it was so sophisticated, and it had a great art museum and a good symphony and an opera, and this part of town called the Country Club District that had fountains on almost every intersection. It was so sophisticated, and I thought, wait a minute, I'm in Kansas and Missouri.
Oh, you're not in Kansas anymore. No, yeah. You are in Kansas. They probably should use that as an expression. You are in Kansas. I know.
It's kind of we like to stay away from it because so many of the things that are wonderful in Kansas City half of them are in Kansas and half of them are in Missouri. So we don't want to step on any toes.
So Kansas then it's always been a historic state. I mean, that was at the crux of the Civil Wars. I hate to say it, but had a lot to do with the Civil War and all of that back then. But Kansas, do you, as an opera singer, when we think of opera, because you are an opera singer. She's one of the best, incidentally. You're really wonderful, and you're a wonderful teacher of opera to folks. But Kansas City and opera don't seem to go together. But you said that Kansas City has an opera company?
It did when I went out there on this consulting gig. Look, I worked for the Houston Grand Opera, and who would think that there was an opera company in Houston, Texas, among the oil rigs and all of that.
Yeah.
But the Houston Grand Opera is one of the best opera companies in the United States. And they were the ones that produced the first revival of Porgy and Bess that moved onto Broadway and won a Tony Award.
Right.
And that is at the time that I worked there. And they produced the first tour of Hello, Dolly with Carol Channing in the 1970s.
Really? I wonder if that was...
It was James's.
My James was in that.
James's production.
Oh my
and
gosh!
That was produced by Houston Grand Opera.
You're kidding me! Look, I learned something every day. Mary is producing an opera right now, and are you a producer? What is your task on this?
I'm producing more or less right now. With my surgical recovery, it was much harder than I deemed. It would be.
Yeah.
So my role has been a little bit more limited than my director would like. But Dr. Susan Quigley-Duggan is doing a fabulous job getting the young singers up on that stage, and we've got to, we try to keep things a little low key, but we bring in as much scenic and lighting and opulence as we can manage, but. Really, our focus is for them to grow and them to learn.
Right. We don't get a chance here in Westfield to see an opera or to experience opera, and I think
there's very little opera ongoing. There is a small company in Northampton. There's a small company in Brattleboro that only does Wagner.
Oh, yes, I know that because Mary was one of those three witches or Lorelei or something back then, weren't you? Oh, yeah, fishes.
Yeah, there's the Berkshire Opera Festival in Great Barrington, which really does wonderful, wonderful work. They do one opera, like Tosca, or this year it was Faust by Gounod. And then they do a contemporary opera, and they do recitals. They take the opera to the streets and stuff, and they're really great.
What's the name of the opera company?
Berkshire Opera Festival.
And it's out of Pittsfield or out of?
I think they perform at the Mahawi in Great Barrington.
Gotcha.
They're wonderful, and but. There's not a lot of opera. The good thing for people that like it or are learning it and studying it is the fact that the Metropolitan Opera puts its entire Saturday matinee schedule out on HD that you can see in movies. You can see it at the Mahawi in Great Barrington. You can see it at the Amherst Cinema. I think you can see it at the Showcase. What are they
Showcase
called?
Cinema, the Riverdale
Road 1 through Infinity.
There's Cinemark now.
Yeah.
Cinemark,
And you get to be in the recliner, and you don't have to drive for 3 hours. And unfortunately, sometimes someone next to you may be eating a hot dog. But then you could have a hot dog too, which is
sure,
remarkable in itself.
Well, yes, I really believe that once you experience an opera in some way, and once you let's ask the expert here, Mary. The word opera can be an anathema to folks. And the word anathema is much too strong. But if I say, look, I've got some tickets, you want to come? And I say, it's to Aida or something. And at the Metropolitan, oh, no, thank you. No, I don't like opera. What do you say?
Well, there's a reason for that.
Really?
I mean, not everyone grew up with opera. And face it, the fabric of our oral world is popular music.
Yeah.
And, some people don't like jazz. And often this is unfamiliarity. I mean, I'm a music teacher, so I have quite a number of approaches to this. But boy, a lot of people, when they open their minds to it and they attend an opera, are instantly hooked.
Yeah.
They instantly love it. And opera now is not what it was in the 19th century. If you happen to go to the HD broadcast of Janine Tesori's Grounded.
Yes.
She's a wonderful example because she made her fame on Broadway.
She did. Thoroughly Modern Millie, I think, right?
Yeah, and Kimberly Akimbo that just won the Tony.
Yeah.
I didn't realize it won the Tony. I loved that.
Wow.
I loved it. I loved the way she treated the voice, and so I was really intrigued to find out what she did with Grounded, and I was riveted. I also loved a work that I believe was debuted by Houston Opera, which didn't they commission Dead Man Walking?
I don't know.
Yeah, I think they did.
They certainly, either they commissioned it or they were one of the first companies to produce it. But that is a wonderful 21st century opera. Wow. And it just has so much to say. And it's so modern in the use of its materials. You have projections, you have contemporary music sounds, you have traditional music sounds, you have cultural music sounds from the environs of the story that's told by Sister Helen Pajon.
Oh, yeah.
The first 20 minutes of it are so cinematic. It's like you're watching the movie. But you think about it, in the European opera houses, you can go see Porgy and Bess, West Side Story, Kiss Me Kate, because
Sweeney Todd,
of course, and opera and musical theater are considered one of the same things. And to me, opera is musical theater. It's just maybe sung in Italian or French, but it's a story that is told through music. And if it's well staged and well choreographed and it has good scenery and costumes and maybe subtitles to put it into English, it's just as good as a Broadway musical.
Oh, yeah. You can listen. I mean, for years now, oh, my God, since the 40s, I think, on Saturday afternoon, they have the opera on the radio, and you can listen to the opera on the radio. And I often thought, boy, that's really for aficionados, unless the opera is in English, because you need to know the opera in some way. But if you just take it as the music itself, oh my gosh, it goes right to your heart. And the human voice doing these incredible things. Wouldn't you say so, Mary? I mean, like...
Well, and that sort of brings me to a comment that, music theater has a different musical language, like American musical theater. And I really feel that opera, and I also ascribe to the philosophy that music theater and opera are really both music theater. We're telling a story. But I have to say that the musical language that we are accustomed to in opera is more far-reaching than the typical palette that we'll find in the music theater and musical theater genre. And that can be challenging for audiences, not only for the orchestral, just the bloom, but the bloom for the voice and the timbre of the voice. But I feel like the palette's bigger.
Yeah. I heard Ariana Grande sing opera on Saturday Night Live, I think a couple of weeks ago. Mm-hmm. And
what did she sing?
Well, it wasn't. It was. She was doing. It was written for her or whatever. But she was using her operatic voice in a way. I don't know if there
is there. When she was pretending to be the castrato.
Yes,
that's a head voice.
Yeah, was it a head voice?
I'm learning about these things.
Yeah.
Actually, Paul, it might be more like whistle voice.
Really?
Yeah, but didn't Aretha Franklin record something from
Nessun Dorma.
Nessun Dorma. And, you know, she did a great job with that. And that introduced a famous aria to people who probably never knew what opera was.
Oh, yeah.
And every once in a while, a piece or an aria from an opera makes its way into the popular genre, and people start to wonder, what is it from? Or the Broadway musical Rent, which is a 20th century reboot of La Boheme.
Oh, yes.
People would go to see Rent and then wonder what its source material was.
Right.
And there was a production of Boheme on Broadway that Linda Ronstadt was in.
You're right.
And it had a short run, but it had other Broadway people doing it, and it was pared down to, I think, 5 or 6 people.
Yeah.
And
you might be able to get that on YouTube, everybody, if you put it.
I don't think so.
No?
I don't think so.
No.
But people...
I knew she did Pirates. I didn't know she did Rent.
Yeah. If people can appreciate that, then they'll like opera. When they realize the grandiosity of it, to me, to go to the Met and see a production that is just huge, and like Aida with thousands of people on the stage.
Yeah, hey, Marco.
Yeah.
You're sitting next to somebody who was in Aida at the Metropolitan Opera for one entire season. It's me.
Oh, my God, the super.
I was a supernumerary for years and years.
Don't do that to him. His head will expand further.
Really?
I was a super. When the Washington National Opera did Carmen at the Kennedy
Were you one
Center.
of those cigar makers?
I was a cigar roller in that. I gave myself, they say motivate yourself. I didn't have a line, but you just sat there for a couple of minutes while somebody's singing an aria. So I named myself Carlos.
Oh my God. You had a backstory and everything.
Yeah, I gave myself a backstory and a character, and I rolled the tobacco.
Oh, my God.
And then I had to, after the scene was over, you go backstage and unroll it for the next performance.
Well, I got a long story. You have to go back. I've told it several times on the air, but find it somewhere on YouTube or whatever. My experience at Aida, where no one told me that I thought I had to sing as a supernumerary, honest to God. And all of a sudden, the people around me were all singing, and I was, before the dun dun dun, the triumphal march, dum dun dun dum dum dum. They were all marching. Okay, so they all began singing around me, and I said, "Am I supposed to be pretending to sing or what?" So I moved my mouth like peas and carrots, like I was singing with it. Sooner or later, I had done the whole run, so I knew some of the some of the music. So I said, "Oh, what the hell?" And so I sang with my voice with the opera. So now I can say that I actually sang at the Metropolitan on my resume. I can.
Okay.
All right. So, hey, everybody, we're going to take a little break. We got to come back and talk a little bit further on this great Der Fledermaus. But I'm going to, Peter, since we've talked about Sweeney Todd, why don't you do the 645 song, which is actually the opening of, this is from a televised version, which had Bryn Terfel and Emma Thompson as Sweeney Todd and Mrs. Lovett. It is one of my favorite television reproductions of this musical. You can see it on YouTube. But this is the Ballad of Sweeney Todd. And when you hear this, these are singers who enunciate every word. I love the idea. And this creates a Halloween mood because we're playing
That's
Halloween
very
music.
operatic, though.
Oh, it's
announcing all your words.
Oh,
it's
my
very
God.
operatic.
Oh, my God. Listen to this.
Swing your razor wide, Sweeney, hold it to the... And tend the tale of Sweeney Todd. His skin was pale and his eye was odd. He shaved the faces of gentlemen who never thereafter were heard of again.
He trod a path that few have trod, did Sweeney Todd,
the demon barber of Fleet Street.
He kept a shop in London town, of fancy clients and good renown.
And what if none of their souls were saved? They went to their maker impeccably shaved. By Sweeney Todd,
the demon barber of Fleet Street. Swing your razor wide, Sweeney, hold it to the skies. Freely flows the blood of those who moralize.
his needs are few, his room is bare.
He hardly uses his fancy chair.
The more he bleeds, the more he lives.
He never forgets and he never forgives.
Perhaps today you gave a nod to Sweeney Todd, the demon barber of Fleet Street.
Sweeney wishes the world away. Sweeney's leaving for yesterday, humming the lane, waiting the years, hearing the music that nobody hears. Sweeney waits in the parlor hall. Sweeney leans on the office wall. No one can help, nothing can hide you. Isn't that Sweeney there beside you? No one can help the world away. Sweeney's leaving for yesterday. Here's Sweeney, there he is, here's Sweeney, 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 Sweeney,
Attend the tale of Sweeney Todd.
Attend the tale of Sweeney Todd.
He served a dark and a hungry God.
He served a dark and a hungry God.
To seek revenge may lead to hell.
But everyone does it, it's seldom as well as Sweeney.
As Sweeney Todd, the demon barber of Fleet Street.
Support for community radio on WSKB is provided by Betts Plumbing and Heating Supply Company, an independent, family-owned wholesaler serving Westfield for over 50 years, specializing in plumbing, heating, and industrial piping supplies. On the web at bettsplumbing.com or at 14 Coleman Avenue in Westfield.
I'm Mark Auerbach. Join me every Friday at 8 a.m. for Arts Beat, where you'll meet interesting actors, directors, designers, and musicians here in Western New England.
Community Radio.
89.5 WSKB. Live from Studio 120 at Westfield Technical Academy, this is WCPC Channel 15 at 89.5 FM, WSKB, Westfield.
Wow, it is Tuesday. It is close to Halloween. It's October 29th. Who would have ever believed?
Can you believe Bobby Goff has a show on Halloween this year?
Oh my gosh, the paranormal guy?
The paranormal guy.
On Halloween.
Aggo on Paranormal.
Oh my gosh, are they going to talk ghosts and goblins?
Well, he may be talking about what he did with Channel 40 this year for their series.
Oh, yes. Oh, God.
I believe it is somewhere we all know and love.
Really?
It might be on Court Street.
The City Hall of Westfield?
No.
Not my house.
What else is haunted on Court Street?
Granger.
I know. The Westfield Theater Group.
The Women's Club.
The Women's Club.
The Women's Club. Is it haunted?
I hadn't heard that.
Yes, it is.
Oh, my God.
Oh, my.
That's where I began my
It was
theater
investigated. It was one of the sites investigated for the Westfield 350, and they have revisited it twice since.
Oh, my gosh. Amazing.
Someday the ghost of Bob Plass will be there.
I'm reading Moby Dick, and they said last night, Herman Melville in this thing last night said, after a whale is killed, he kind of like hovers over where he is killed, and ships kind of like avoid that area because the ghost of whatever. And so get ready, everyone.
Well, 50,
Hey, Bob.
50 years from now, kids will be over by the women's club and they'll hear the ghost of Bob Pass going, wow.
Yeah, wow.
Who I've taken a shine to, Bob, on YouTube? Elizabeth Jarov, known as the Charismatic Voice. She was an opera singer, won the Queen's competition or something.
Oh.
Like this huge competition.
Yes.
And she's a vocal coach now. She just became a mom like a year ago.
Right.
And is now doing a study on how different types of singers, how they use their voice, like having a video scope down a singer's throat while they're singing and making, like especially like screamers, like rock metal screamers and things like that.
Sure.
She's just started a Kickstarter for a study with, I think it's Ohio State University, to find out how they create those sounds and how they keep their voices long into their 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s.
70s, sure.
How they keep their voices intact by doing those sounds that shouldn't be possible.
Well, let's ask the woman who teaches voice. Tell us about that. I mean, the vocal cords are it's like they back
she was
and forth.
Talking about the vocal folds going waka waka waka.
Waka
They
waka.
do. If you were to put a microphone in your throat, just above the glottis, where the vocal folds come together, they run front to back. So this would be like your Adam's apple, and this is where they join the arytenoid cartilages in the rear of your throat. So they come together and they phonate. So for guys, 100, 200, per octave. Think of that as vibrations per second. So a lot. High C is 1,000 per second.
Oh, wow.
So guys, you're not quite that high. But the way the voice works, if you're screaming and you're well coordinated, you could scream a lot. Have you ever screamed on a roller coaster and just enjoyed the release and not felt any vocal repercussions?
All the time.
It's because we're designed to work that way. So if you take advantage of the way your body works appropriately, then and work in a balanced fashion, you can make any kinds of sounds you want. You don't have to just be a classical singer. You don't have to just be a pop singer. You can do extended behaviors like screaming.
Right.
A very fantastic extended behavior performer I'd like to recommend to you and your audiences is someone I met through the voice workshop, and Jeannie Levetri and her scientific approach to voice. But there's so much work out there, and you can certainly Google it up and check it all out on YouTube and look at different larynges phonating and vibrating in all their different ways.
Right. May I ask a question? Because I've been listening, of course, in this year of Joni Mitchell, I've been listening to a lot of Joni Mitchell. But I also saw recently a tape online, Judy Collins. Now, both Judy Collins and Joni Mitchell are in their 80s. Okay. I remember Judy Collins saying one of the reasons why her voice had always been so pure over the years, that she studied every day or every week or so. She still had a singing teacher. Now her voice is a little less. Well, it was disappointing for.
I don't know.
I
don't know. I think her voice is fantastic, and it's lowered a little bit.
Well, I wondered about this.
As we all age, our voices lower musically.
Yeah,
I've heard a couple rock singers say, "If I had known I was going to be singing this in my 60s, I would have wrote it in a lower key."
Yeah. But the thing is, I bet
you know the science. The science is that you get ossification in the larynx. The cartilage becomes more bony, and it's harder, and it doesn't vibrate as much, and you get a harder, more resonant surface. So yeah, it's lower.
Oh, so is that, when does that happen? Does it happen it would happen depending
gradually.
On...
Happens gradually. We
gradually. But you need to you can still sing when you're old. I mean, like, oh my God.
You just can't hit the notes you could when you were young.
Yeah.
I mean, the singer Mimi Hines, who
replaced
Barbara Streisand in Funny Girl back in the 60s, she died last week.
Yeah.
And I YouTubed some of her music, and she starred in a revival of Sondheim's Follies, maybe 8 or 9 years ago.
Remember
so she was in her 80s.
Yeah.
And she sang the anthem, "I'm Still Here." And she hit every single note, but her voice had taken on a different timbre than it was when she was doing Funny Girl.
Yeah. Now, Julie Andrews' voice has been damaged in a way, so she doesn't sing any longer. I mean, is that they took something off when they tried to remove a nodule or something, right?
She had.
Hard to say what actually happened, but it wasn't the same. But we shouldn't discount vocal surgery because it can be really useful for people who need to have something removed from their larynx. They shouldn't shy away because Julie Andrews didn't sound the same.
Oh, of course not.
When I had my surgery back in January, I talked to the anesthesiologist and I said, I make my money with my voice.
Yes.
I do radio, I do audio books and narrate and things like that. And the fact that they knew that in advance, they used a different kind of tube to intubate me. And when I was unintubated after the surgery, they had a speech therapist come in. And with 2 days after my surgery, they had me speaking and doing vowels and vocalization.
Really?
But what happened to Julie Andrews probably was an accident.
Oh, okay. All right, yeah.
Because my anesthesiologist at Mass General said that he worked with a lot of singers and a lot of broadcasters.
Right.
And if an anesthesiologist is experienced and knows that ahead of time, then there's a way for them to compensate to prevent an accident.
And it's never a bad idea to write across your forehead, singer.
Because
you never know, because you can tell it to the anesthesiologist and then their assistant who didn't listen to you is going to go intubate you. I've had this happen.
Oh my God! So this is something. Oh my God! I'm gonna remember this. Would my nurse remember it? Please write it down somewhere.
They don't. I would have written it on my forehead, except for the fact that
Mary, remind me, please, if there's ever a time.
Mass General was really good about providing an anesthesiologist ahead of time who worked with singers and broadcasters. And he wouldn't tell me who he had worked with. He said, he said, you know from your background, an opera singer that I worked on. He said, I'll just tell you, she did The Merry Widow at one point in her career. And she had minor surgery for something, but had to be anesthetized, and I did her surgery. I was her anesthesiologist. I figured it out afterwards who it was because he gave me enough hints, but HIPAA prevented him from telling me who.
Do you know? Well, you want to reveal it to us?
It was Beverly Sills.
No. Oh my gosh! Oh gosh! How do you like that? Well, look, we got off track again. Now, Mary, we write down right now. Speak of Der Fledermaus after we listen to I want to play the song Old Devil Moon. Okay. Old Devil Moon. Let's do the 6:15 song. This is Old Devil Moon is from Finian's Rainbow, believe it or not. It's a Halloween song in its own right. This is Cyril Amé and Diego Figueroa. Now, Cyril Amé is a woman who has she is Puerto Rican and she is Dominican, and she is just incredible. And you hear this beautiful sound that she gets with the guitarist Diego Figueroa. I can't. Look it up. At any rate. This is from their album Smile. Cyril is spelled Cyrille, and it's like lover, Aimee. Okay?
I look at you and suddenly something in your eyes I see soon begins bewitching me. It's that old devil moon that you stole from the skies. It's that old devil moon in your eyes. You and your glance make this romance too hot to handle. Stars in the night blazing their light can't hold a candle to your razzle-dazzle. You got me flying high and wide on a magic carpet ride full of butterflies inside. Wanna cry, wanna croon, wanna laugh like a loon. It's that old devil moon in your eyes.
Support for community radio on WSKB is provided by Betts Plumbing and Heating Supply Company, an independent, family-owned wholesaler serving Westfield for over 50 years, specializing in plumbing, heating, and industrial piping supplies. On the web at bettsplumbing.com or at 14 Coleman Avenue in Westfield.
Hi, this is Harry Rock, host of Rock on Westfield every fourth Wednesday at 8 a.m. Tune in for my view of this place I call home.
Community Radio.
89.5 WSKB. Live from Studio 120 at Westfield Technical Academy, this is WCPC Channel 15 and 89.5 FM, WSKB Westfield.
Wow, it is Tuesday. It is October, no, wait a minute. I got to get it right. Today is October 20th.
29th.
What is it? 29th? What is
29th. It's Tuesday.
Have I been saying that right over through?
I don't know. I always don't pay attention because you never get it wrong.
Because we take for Tuesday.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Okay, sorry.
See, we tape. No, it's okay. We taped the day before, so today.
Everybody knows that by now.
Yeah, they all know.
Except me.
Yeah. Oh. So we are actually, Mary, as I always say you are in the future right now, and you are in the past right now, and you are in the present right now. Yeah. Oh, you're saying hello to your husband?
Yeah, Andy just came in. He's like, where are you?
Oh, yeah.
You fall down the stairs.
Yeah. Oh, my gosh. Andy Bonacci is the interim music department chair at Westfield State, and he's a member of Westfield on Weekends board, and we love him. And Mary is also a professor of music. And do you have another title up there, Mary? Vocal studies or something?
I coordinate the voice area, so I'm in charge of getting faculty and making sure we have bodies to direct things.
Oh, I love it.
And
I love
force load and
okay, so let's talk Der Fledermaus. Okay.
Now, all right,
yeah.
Do you want me to talk?
Yes, please.
I'll talk. We're doing Die Fledermaus. It was only the most popular operetta in the 19th century, really. Johann Strauss, you may know him as the Waltz King.
Yes, I do. Yeah.
And his melodies make this story come alive. In fact, who cares about the story when you have that beautiful music playing? We do not have an orchestra, We have our wonderful Steinway D, for which we are very grateful, and our newly remodeled Space Endeavor stage in Parenzo Hall. So come hang out there. The seats are beautiful. In fact, there are still some seats available. You can have your name on your very own seat.
Oh my God!
Endeavor
Really?
stage. Yes, absolutely. Talk to the Friends of Music or to the Westfield State Foundation. You can be memorialized.
Oh my God!
Won't the Bob Plass seat be sold for a premium?
This is the one. This is the one in the toilet outside of the hall.
Yeah, by the water.
There's going to be a throne there
by the water fountain.
By the water fountain, yeah.
Which are also remodeled. I want to note.
Yeah. They are beautiful. They are beautiful. So let's get back to the Fledermaus. Now, what is that? That means the bat in English?
The flying mouse, otherwise known as a bat. And it's really less Halloween-y than you think, because the story of the bat is really just a loose underpinning for all the shenanigans that take place during the opera. The whole thing is a bit of revenge from one buddy elbowing the other one for a dirty, naughty trick he played on him, and business associates ended up tricking one another, and poor Freddie was left on a park bench in a bat costume, sleeping off his boozy night before, and everyone made fun of him, and so he holds a grudge, and the whole opera is the playing out of his revenge to make Gabe Eisenstein get his comeuppance.
Oh.
Now you must bear in mind that this is taking place not in Vienna as it was premiered, but over 100 years later here, 150 years just about, and we are replacing it in California in the golden age of Hollywood.
Really?
So a lot of the personalities still work. Eisenstein becomes Gabe Valentine, who's a matinee idol. He doesn't produce albums, but he thinks he should.
Yes.
He's an idol, and he's a producer, and he's married to Rosie Lynn, who is our Rosalinda, who is the leading lady, and she's just as fresh and frothy as she was in the 19th century, and it comes off still very, very well that she plays the part of someone else and has her husband mistakenly fall for her at a party when he should be somewhere else, and he gets his comeuppance quite handily as she steals his beloved watch.
Oh, remember this.
Among other bits of chicanery that happen. There's pants rolls, there's saucy soubrettes, there's dancing, there's waltzes. What else should I include, Mark? You love this show?
I don't know. It's oftentimes done on New Year's Eve as well. It's kind of Halloween, but I saw a production when I was in college at the Met with Kitty Carlisle Hart was in it, and she was an opera singer.
I remember this.
Not a great one, but she was an opera singer and quite the big personality. And there are a lot of guest parts in the last act of it that can be done by celebrities.
Oh, that's right.
At the Met, they would have people, the mayor of the time, and Mayor Lindsay had a walk on, and Toady Fields had a walk.
No, you're kidding me.
And they'd have one line, and so it was the thing that the Metropolitan Opera did as populist fare during the holidays, and the music is wonderful.
Oh, yeah.
The music is absolutely wonderful. Whether you know opera or not, when you hear the waltzes from Die Fledermaus, you've heard them in commercials. You've heard them as a backdrop for TV shows and movies, in commercials and things like that. So people that go who have never seen it are going to recognize lots of the music. And it was adapted as an operetta to go into the summer stock circuit, and it was called Rosalinda.
Oh, is that right? Wow.
It's been adapted many times in many different forms.
Yeah.
But film and stage and different languages and different storylines. It's been very popular for a long time.
Oh, wild. Well, I was in the car yesterday, and James and I were driving to have our computers fixed. Mine is still not fixed, but his had so many cookies on it, whatever that means. He's got, and it's diabetic, so it's having some real problems with the cookies. At any rate, I he began, I said, we're going to see Der Fledermaus. It's this Friday and Saturday night. Is that right? And there's a matinee?
Okay. And we have a Saturday matinee. Tickets are $5 and $10. $5 for kids and seniors and $10 for adults. We accept any kind of donation you want, and our students can come in with their ID.
And how do I have to reserve seats ahead of time?
Yes, go through Eventbrite. We can get you in at the door if we're not sold out, but go to Eventbrite and you can get your tickets there.
Alrighty, but now yesterday, so I said, and he was excited that we were going to see. I told him you and Andy would be there, and that he lit up and he said, it's not one of my favorite operas because it's a little complicated. And so he pulled out the plot. And so we began reading the different characters and whatever in it. And I thought to myself, maybe I don't need to know the plot in order to enjoy this. But you really sort of synthesize it in a way that this woman is trying to get back at her husband, so she pretends to be somebody else. Is that right?
But it's not just her. She definitely does. But it's all Freddie's idea. So I should introduce you to the modern cast of characters. They're similar, but everyone will understand the plot quite well because it's motivated in 20th century terms.
Oh, gotcha.
You get it that he's hacked off. He's supposed to be in jail. He's the new chief of police. He's the buddy. He's the dumb lawyer. And she's the saucy soubrette.
Right.
And they all have their different motivations, the first act is a real classic.
Yes.
And the humor still plays so wonderfully when Rosie's saying, "Oh, what'll I do when you have to go to jail, Gabe, and serve your sentence? Who will grumble for their paper in the morning and bother me for their socks?"
Oh my God.
Mary, is it sung in English?
Yes, it's all in English.
Oh, that's so good.
With a new libretto and a new dialogue by Josh Shaw. So he's done many, many adaptations. So if you look him up online, he actually did an opera that was commissioned by Tabasco.
Tabasco! You have the hot sauce?
Tabasco bottles dancing, and it's very hot.
Oh my gosh!
Yeah, you have to see it to believe it.
Holy mother! So the songs. This is originally sung in German.
Yeah.
Okay, and the Blue Danube and all those beautiful waltzes. And there are waltz, and there's a polka section, and I think there's a march section or something. Maybe
a march. I mean,
I think there's a polka, or there. Oh, I know. There's a reel or something like when you walk. You see it in Bridgerton or something. They all walk together up and down, back and forth and whatever. But your performance has a modern sensibility, probably, right? So there
will still be waltzing, but there won't be any hand jive or anything like that, because the music is still very 19th century.
Yeah.
But and there won't be cameos because this is about our students. Westfield State is not a conservatory, so. A lot of our students have never done an opera. They've never been on stage before. Many of them have never seen an opera.
Yeah.
So this is a really brand new experience for all of them to do it from the inside out, and we want to really make it meaningful to them and for just for their experience.
Yeah, that we have this up close and musical series down at the Westfield on Weekends Creative Arts Center at 105 Elm Street, and many of the or some of the folks that you're going to see have appeared down there singing, and what is striking is the voices that these students have and the training that they're receiving. You were bragging about one of the gentlemen. I've got a costume for him in the car, actually. I'm going to drop off to Mary after the show here.
Yeah, somehow his sleeve length turned out to be 31 and he's 6'2". I'm like, yeah. I really should have looked over those measurements more carefully.
Can you imagine, getting this is one of those, I'm going to send it back to Amazon. So you were bragging about his voice. He can sing, he can dance, and he can act. And one of the things I think that a discovery is for all of us is that the students who are at Westfield State in the music department, whether they're instrumentalists or vocalists, are just first rate. And we have some wonderful up-close and musical events coming that you can read about online. And but we want to encourage, because we use up-close and musical to advertise the music department, because they're so essential to our life in this community. And I want to encourage everybody to go to see Der Fledermaus. Now, Mary, you have a choice. We're going to give everybody a little flavor of this. Now, we could have the Manhattan Pops Orchestra play the Der Fledermaus Waltz, or we could have Melanie Holiday, this singer. She's an opera singer from, I think she might be Australian or something, but she's singing Mein Herr Marquis. Yeah.
That's actually very frothy and fun.
And this is in English.
I would suggest it. Probably she says Monsieur Renard, because Eisenstein shows up at Orlovsky's party pretending to be a French film director in our production, but he still goes by Marquis Renard. And there's the whole we can't speak French, but we're actually speaking French for the whole second act is intact. For those of you who might have been worried that we might actually cut it.
Yes.
You're going to enjoy them.
So you would like
baguette all night.
So you would like us to play Melanie Holiday's version here of what in German is Mein Herr Marquis, but in the English version that they're having at the State College, or the State College, the State University, Westfield State University, up at Devers Stage in Parenzo Hall and on Western Avenue. They are, the character is now a film director. Is that right?
The character that Adele is singing to. Adele is Rosie Lynn's chambermaid who comes in dressed in her boss's gown because she was invited to the party by her sister Sally, which was actually orchestrated by Freddie, who wants to get back at Gabe. And I didn't say any of those wrong. That's exactly what I did.
I can't believe you. Amazing. Repeat that, Mark.
I can't repeat it, but everybody is on to everybody else in this in Der Fledermaus.
So let's hear Melanie Holiday singing Mein Herr Marquis. This is in English.
Yes, you've mistaken.
So zierlich und klein, ja, die Sprache, die ich führe, die Taille, die Talere, dergleichen finden Sie eine Zofe nie, dergleichen finden Sie eine Zofe nie, gestehen müssen Sie fürwahr, sehr komisch dieser Irrtum war. Ist die Sache, trunken seien Sie, wenn ich lache. Sehr komisch, Herr Marquis, sind Sie. Mit dem Profil in griechischem Stil beschenkte mich Natur. Wenn ich dies Gesicht schon Lügen spricht, so sehen Sie die Figur. Schon durch die Lorgnette sieht ein Jahr sich diese
Underwriting support for the community programming of WSKB is provided by the Greater Westfield Chamber of Commerce, the voice of business for the Greater Westfield communities. Informing, educating, advocating, the Chamber provides opportunities for members to make meaningful connections on local, regional, and state levels. For more information on the Chamber's many events, workshops, and programs, as well as the benefits of membership, visit westfieldbiz.org. The Chamber focuses on the most important economy, yours.
Join me, Tina Gorman, each week from 6 to 8 a.m. for Wake Up Wednesday, when my guests and I discuss health, wellness, and lifestyle reimagined.
Community Radio.
89.5 WSKB. Live from Studio 120 at Westfield Technical Academy, this is WCPC Channel 15 and 89.5 FM WSKB Westfield.
Wow, it is Tuesday. It is October 29th. We are on the cusp of Halloween, but we have had a wonderful discussion about Der Fledermaus. Happens this Friday and Saturday, and with a matinee on Saturday at Westfield State University. Mary, just fill us in one last time for folks who are just tuning in to the Westfield on Weekend show here.
Well, Die Fledermaus is sung by our students who are, this opera was chosen specifically for them so they could have this experience, and they can all sing it. This is not a watered down version. Wow. It's a slightly abbreviated version, so we'll keep it under 2 hours for you with an intermission.
Wow, okay,
and
right.
You'll hear the Steinway D and all the kids. We're not amplifying anything because we're doing it all acoustically. Nothing will be doctored. And you'll hear a lot of fun and frivolity. There's lots of champagne and laughter and frothiness to be had, and everyone enjoys the evening by the time we finish up. It's directed by Dr. Susan Quigley Duggan, and our music director is Scott Bailey, technical director by Mark Villani. So
he's great too.
Students have all chipped in to just toss in those extra few minutes that they have to take care of details and with blood, sweat, and tears. So I admire them all, and I congratulate them all in advance. And I hope that we can have hope that lots of people will come and see it. We've got good brisk sales on Eventbrite. So if you'd like some tickets, just pop up to Eventbrite and you can get your seats reserved, or you can do so certainly right up to curtain time if we have seats.
Well, and how do you get your tickets?
They will be on your phone.
Oh, you get on your phone and you go to where?
You buy your tickets at Eventbrite, and you get a receipt on your phone. You just show it at the door.
Really?
Or they can email you the receipt, and you can print it out and bring it.
But do you have to go to Eventbrite first? Can you go to the Westfield State University website the music?
Just go to Eventbrite. We're working through them. It's a little bit less complicated.
And you put in Der Fledermaus at Westfield State.
And I would put in The Bat's Revenge because our version is in English. It's so much easier. The Bat's Revenge, Die Fledermaus.
Oh my God, perfect. On November 1st and 2nd, did I get the dates right?
Yeah. Mary, what are you doing? What are you doing in the winter-spring semester?
Well, for winter-spring, music theater usually does a scenes program. So we do that for the kids to keep them entertained. We're not a terrifically large university, 4,000 kids, and our music program is still less than 100 majors. So doing 2 major productions in a year is a lot for us.
Gotcha.
But we certainly continue our big music programs with our large ensembles. We usually have a master work with the chorus and an orchestra or our wind symphony, and our many chamber music concerts and recitals and programs that our music students do regularly. They stay very busy.
And you can go and you can see them listed at the music department at Westfield State University. Mary, this man right here, sitting right beside me in all his golden orange glory. All right. No, you're not wearing your orange glory.
I have a little orange.
You have orange on.
I'm not like goldenrod yellow.
It's still glorious.
Bob is doing his best Charlie Brown.
Yeah, that's right. I even have, get this, Mayor. Wait a minute. Can you zoom in on the socks there?
No, Bob, I'm not going to zoom in on your socks.
I can't see your socks.
Put your feet down.
They are, well, I'll show them when I drop off a costume for you. They are yellow and gold, and I'm all things autumn today. Yes. But look, I want you to be connected to Mark. And Mark, I will connect you with the music department so that you can advertise, because he does. If you want to know what's happening theater and music-wise in Westfield and beyond, you read Mark's work at Westfield News. And where else can we find Mark's work?
Well, this weekly column appears in the Westfield News. It appears in Mass Live, which is statewide.
Mm-hmm.
And, I have radio and TV stuff that talks about the arts. So I'd love to know. I'd love to be in touch with what everybody's doing so I can make mention of it.
Yeah, and indeed, when he does an interview, his programs are so informative. He's interviewing people that are in the arts all over the place. And when we come back, we're going to talk about the Berkshire Theater Awards.
I still think Bob's trying to do a cameo for Christmas on the Rocks.
Yeah, I think so.
It was a pleasure to meet you, Mark, and I look forward to your show. I can't wait to catch Arts Live on Fridays.
Okay, great. I love when people say that they listen and watch. Thank you so much.
And Mark, this is a great guest. So put her down on your list.
I will, Bob.
All right, for
It'll
sure.
It'll be my pleasure.
Yeah. Hey, everybody, we're going to play, why don't we do Vampira just to change things up? This is by Bobby Bear, whose name has always been unfortunate to me. I don't know why Bobby Bear was, and it's not B-E-A-R, it's B-A-R-E, Bobby Bear. Do you know Bobby Bear?
No.
It's country rock. It's Vampira. All righty, and this is thanks to Wisconsin's music director, Chris Homan. Mary, thank you so much.
Good to see you, Mary.
Bye-bye.
Nice to meet you.
We'll be right back, everyone.
Those fingers in my hair, that sly come hither stare, that strips my conscience bare, it's witchcraft. And I've got no defense for it, the heat is too intense for it. What good would common sense for it do? 'Cause it's witchcraft, wicked witchcraft. And although I know it's strictly taboo, when you arouse the need in me, my heart says yes indeed in me. Proceed with what you're leading me to. It's such an ancient pitch, but one I wouldn't switch, 'cause there's no nicer witch than you. That crazy witchcraft. And although I know it's strictly taboo, when you arouse the need in me, my heart says yes indeed in me. Proceed with what you're leading me to. It's such an ancient pitch, but one that I'd never switch, 'cause there's no nicer witch than you.
Music Radio.
I got a woman, she's 6'3". Ooh, buddy, what she doing to me? She got loving and some mighty strange. Vampire, that's her name. Vampire, yeah, vampire. Vampire, yeah, that's my baby's name. Late last night we were out on alone, sitting on a cold graveyard stone. Here comes Dracula and Frankenstein, looking for the sugar at supper time. Vampire, yeah, vampire. Vampire, that's my baby's name. Took Vampire to a rock and roll. When we started to do the stroll, her knees started shaking, her eyeballs twist. Looked like a mummy with the silk on your wrist. She vampire, hey, my vampire. Vampire, that's my baby's name. Vampire, she wants to marry me. Set up house in a cemetery. Put a little coffin underneath the ground. Ain't like living way downtown. Vampire, yeah, my vampire. Vampire, that's my baby's name. Vampire, you cold. You just scared me.
Underwriting for the community programming of WSKB is provided by the Boys and Girls Club of Greater Westfield, serving the youth of the Whip City and surrounding communities since 1969. For more information on the Great Futures Club for ages 3 to 5, happening weekdays, and the Club Teen Center for ages 11 and older, weekdays from 6:30 till 8 p.m., go online at bcgwestfield.org. or visit the club at 28 West Silver Street. The Boys and Girls Club of Greater Westfield. Great futures start here.
This is Ken Stomsky from Ken's Den on WCPC 15 and 89.5 FM, Tuesdays, 8 to 10.
Community Radio.
89.5 WSKB. Live from Studio 120 at Westfield Technical Academy, this is WCPC Channel 15 and 89.5 FM, WSKB Westfield.
Wow. Hey, I am Bob Plass. This is the Westfield on Weekend show. You go to westfieldonweekends.com for all the updated information. We got Decemberfest coming up. There are all kinds of classes, etc., etc. Go there and be wowed, as we say. And look, I'm being wowed by having Mark Auerbach here today. Mark is the critic extraordinaire. I always call you a critic extraordinaire. How many years have you been how many years? And because it's not criticizing, because the word critic is not criticism.
I don't think of myself as a critic. I think of myself as an arts reporter. And I've been doing it on and off since 1986.
Wild.
I mean, I did it. I started with 1270 AM WSPR.
Oh, gosh.
When Mike Harrison and Al Herskowitz owned the station.
Mm-hmm.
Then I did it with the Hans when they owned 640 WNNZ.
Wild.
And I wrote for Jewish Weekly, which is now defunct. I did their arts and travel writing. And then I took a break, and then I came back. And Patrick Berry on the Westfield News, and he said to me, you know, you're a really good reporter, but you don't report that often because you've been working. I was on the other side of the mic at WFCR.
Sure.
Then I did Westfield News, and I still do, and it's now part of Mass Live. I wrote for the Longmeadow News and the Enfield Press, and now I write for Westfield News, Mass Live, and Berkshire on Stage, which is a wonderful blog with news and reviews of everything going on in theater in Western Mass.
So where you find your blogs, you put in Berkshire on Stage.
BerkshireOnStage.org, I think.
Oh, gosh.
It's a great, people should really check it out because it has some great things that you don't know about because Mass Live and Westfield News have limited arts coverage.
Yeah.
And most people here wouldn't think to
But
I
gotta say this: for a long while in Massachusetts, or not in this area, there was no coverage at all of the arts scene in the performing arts scene, and when Patrick Barry at the Westfield News started publishing your columns, I remember saying to myself, well, finally for us folks that enjoy going to live theater and live concerts, et cetera, Broadway, there is a column. And we can read and we can find out. So I thank you. I thank Patrick Barry from Mass Appeal.
When Patrick bought the Westfield News way back when, the Republican had really diminished its arts coverage, but there was the Valley Advocate, which was great in its day, and that's diminished. Yeah. And the Daily Hampshire Gazette was good in its day, and they have kind of only really doing Hampshire County types of things.
Gotcha.
And you have the Berkshire Eagle in Pittsfield, which was covering the Berkshires. But Patrick was very foresighted in saying, the arts person, the person that appreciates theater, music, and dance is well-read, they're informed, they're educated. It's the kind of readers we want. Right. And a lot of the people are community leaders, and they also make advertising decisions for their companies. And so it made sense to have arts coverage. And now he's moved on to WWLP, but TV. He has a lot of arts people on Mass Appeal. And Patrick has kind of...
Do you go on that? I go on regularly. Have you been on much?
My musicians go on it.
Oh,
I don't go very often. But he has developed a lot of arts reporting, and he's become one of the better arts reporters in the Valley. He's really great at what he does.
Oh, God. Always. And he started right here on this station.
He did. He did.
Hey, we also have to give a shout out to Michael Ballway at the Westfield News, because Michael has carried on the tradition. And
Mike Ballway has carried on the tradition. I love collaborating with him.
Right. And all the folks that own
it's the Reminder that owns them.
Yeah, Reminder Publications.
For example, there's a lot of collaborative work there. My ArtsBeat column that you see in the Westfield News, I believe it runs on Mondays.
Right.
It runs online on Mondays.
Right.
He takes that and he edits it down, and then a similar type of column with my byline on it runs in the Reminder, in the Connecticut editions of the Reminder.
How do you like that? Okay, but I want those folks in Wisconsin and beyond to know that you're also talking Broadway often on times on this. So if they wanted to...
On my program here, on Westfield Community Programming, and which is also 89.5 FM WSKB, Agawam Media, and Southwick Community Television.
Right.
My ArtsBeat program runs on Friday mornings from 8 to 9.
Right.
I do have Broadway people on, especially when they're coming to the region to do a show. And I have another program called On the Mark, which occasionally I'll have somebody from the arts world on.
Right.
And I have a new series launching here on November 15th. It's a limited run, so it's 8 weeks. It's called Survivor Stories.
I know. I love this idea. You're going to end up doing a second version of this.
People are asking me to. We've pre-recorded 6 of the 8 hours of it are already in the can. And
I would love to come on and talk about my experience with both depression, but OCD and the anxiety.
Maybe for season 2.
Season 2.
Season 2.
Yeah, not season. I don't have any time now, but I would love.
The stories are fascinating. I have from the world of theater. Mark H. Dold, who's an associate artist at Barrington Stage, he had bladder cancer and survived that. He was so afraid when he was diagnosed that he'd lose the chance to do the Broadway, work, and he was in all the Law and Orders and things like
Sure.
that. And he thought casting directors aren't going to cast somebody who's sick.
Oh, no.
So he's one. Evan Pappas, the Broadway star who was in My Favorite Year Chorus Line.
Yeah, and wasn't he slapped by some famous person once?
No, that was somebody else.
Okay,
but Evan was walking. He was driving after a matinee performance, and he got hit by a car, and he broke his legs, his arms, his ribs. He was in rehab for 7 or 8 months. Wow. He told his story. Mamie Paris, who just finished a Broadway run in Cats, and she does a lot of Goodspeed, and she was Kristen Chenoweth's standby in 20th Century.
Oh, wild.
Mamie got Bell's palsy.
Oh my gosh.
And how she continued to do The Mystery of Edwin Drood at Goodspeed while she was recovering and her face was paralyzed is one. I have a personal friend, Cassie Newman, whose husband was my best friend. And his name was also Mark. He committed suicide 5.5 years ago.
Oh my God.
And Cassie talks about how she got back on her feet. A music teacher from Kernhattan, Lisa Bianconi, who was a Grammy nominee for a music educator, got lymphoma. And how did she get through and beyond that? So the stories, another one, Tim Lininger, who's an arts reporter and radio person, who has a speech impediment and a stutter, and how he learned to overcome that. The stories that people are telling me are very unique.
It's so universal to hear that. You need to hear that as somebody.
Yeah, there's 2 stories yet to tape. One is Jay Sefton, currently starring in A Moon for the Misbegotten, who wrote and starred in Unreconciled, which was the big hit at Chester. It moved on to Ireland and then New York. Yeah. It's nominated for 3 Berkey Awards.
Wow.
Jay he was abused by a priest. Gosh. He became a therapist to help others to get through what he had gone through. His story is incredible. And Sean Maloney, who is the former CEO of Dramatic Health, which was a film and video company that produced stories about physicians and nurses and healthcare providers and patients. Sean chronicled his own recovery from cancer of the appendix through video.
Wow.
And Harry Rock told his story about getting through prostate cancer.
Right.
And I told my story as well. And I brought, like show and tell, I brought some photographs that were taken. My friend Patrick Berry was my guardian angel as I was going through a lot of what was happening to me. And he and somebody else took photos and videos at my request so that someday I could tell my complete story.
So how do we find and when do they start? And
They start airing on Friday, November 15th, right here on 89.5 FM WSKB, Westfield Community Programming, Agawam Media, Southwick Community Television, and then they'll all be archived on YouTube under WSKB Community Radio.
And it's called Survivor Stories.
Survivor Stories. There'll be 8 weeks of them.
Fabulous.
At least
I applaud you. Yeah.
At least at this point, we'll see. We'll see if there's a season 2.
Oh man, I'd love to come on and tell you mine because that means when you get to tell your story, you get power over that.
When you tell your story, at least for me, you own it, and it was cathartic. I didn't want to talk about what was going on with me in the months while it was happening. I mean, it started actually 5.5 years ago when I fell down the stairs. I broke my leg, but a bone chip went into my bloodstream and it killed kidney number 1.
Oh, God.
And I knew, over 2 years ago, I got on the kidney transplant list at Mass General. And 2 years ago this week, I came on this network and did an hour-long interview with Patrick Berry.
I remember.
Who coerced me ahead of time to come out and tell the fact that I needed a donor.
And you got one, right? And it's going to come soon.
Well, that is to be determined.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
We're both, me and the donor are being rescreened right now as we speak.
Okay, so everyone out there, just send positive vibes to the universe, because you have never looked so good. Your spirit is right there. You're doing great work for our community, Mark, and I applaud you so much.
I appreciate you saying that. All of the people that are part of Survivor Stories are doing great things for their community by coming out about what they went through and giving back. My friend Mark Dold, and the actor at Barrington Stage and does Broadway. Mark is a peer counselor at Memorial Sloan Kettering. Bladder cancer doesn't always, it hits younger men. In their 30s and 40s, and it changes their life in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
They may become incontinent, they may become impotent, and he listens to these guys and he talks with them. And you talk about a give back, somebody who's been through something that's willing to help you go through it.
Oh, yeah, man.
And he's a busy guy. I mean, he's on Broadway, he's touring in shows.
Yeah.
He's about to star in a show at Gable Stage in Miami, but he makes time either by Zoom or in person to counsel.
To be there.
Jay Sefton, who went through a horrible case of abuse by a priest, not only wrote a play about it, but he's a therapist and he works with other people. So all of the people in Survivor Stories are giving back in some way. Cassie Newman, whose husband committed suicide, she now works with people, when she can, widows and widowers of people who have committed suicide, and she also is working to prevent suicide. So these people, rather than feeling sorry for themselves and going, woe is me, I'm going to lie around and wait to die, they're out there, they're trying to do something to better other people's lives.
You know, that's the message on this Halloween as we approach the election season. The idea of wanting to do something to better our communities and making decisions that's for the good of community. Honest to God, that's such important, and I applaud you. Hey, we're going to switch gears a little bit. I'm going to play this is... Actually, it's called the Vitamin String Quartet. This is Halloween from The Nightmare Before Christmas. This is Halloween. And then we're going to come back. We have to talk Berkeys. We got lots to talk about.
Yeah, we got lots to talk about. Play some music.
All right. This is Halloween.
Support for the community programming of WSKB is provided by the Dunkin' Donut Shops of Westfield and the Sardinia family. It's nice to know that even as the world changes, Dunkin' Coffee remains the same at 7 convenient locations throughout Westfield.
Listen to me, Michael Buster McMahon, Mondays 8 to 10 a.m. to learn the stories behind your favorite songs. Or don't. I'm not the boss of you.
Community Radio.
89.5 WSKB. Live from Studio 120 at Westfield Technical Academy, this is WCPC Channel 15 and 89.5 FM, WSKB Westfield.
Wow, it is Tuesday, October 29th where you are, and we are having a great day today. Look at that fabulous, golden hue behind us. Oh, gosh. This is from, where's this photograph from here, Peter?
That's live from the upper campus.
From the upper campus of the Westfield Technical Academy. Look at that. Wow. You know, those folks on the radio, it's all yellows and...
It's from the cupola on top of the campus.
Oh, gosh. This is a good time for yellows. You know, I noticed in my yard.
I didn't think the foliage was at peak. And the last week I've been driving back and forth from Longmeadow to Westfield on the Pike every day.
Oh, sure.
And I noticed the changes, particularly...
I think we're almost past peak now.
Yeah, it's a little past peak, but Longmeadow going south into Enfield and down towards the airport is just at peak.
Oh my God, it's interesting to me that the yellows seem to be lingering, and I
think it's because of our dry fall.
Oh my God, those yellows and golds. That's why I'm wearing yellow and gold today, because
you are a vision of fall foliage, Bob. I mean, I'm kind of like the green, kind of like the evergreen green of it, but this is actually a Westfield community programming swag.
Look, how do you like my tattoo? I have a tattoo that is fading here because it's an imaginary tattoo. And an imaginary tattoo. What do you call it? A temporary tattoo.
Hante.
Yeah. Where did you get that?
I got that at my goddaughter's wedding a couple of weeks ago. They had it, and they last, and I can't get the damn thing off now.
It looks so like as though.
Do I look butch?
Well, I would say from the waist to the neck, you look like 28.
Okay, all right. Well, listen, that's a lot of theater. Berkshire Theater, tell us about what's happening with the Berkeys.
Every year, the Berkshire Theater Critics Association holds the annual Berkshire Theater Critics Awards, which are known as the Berkeys. Mm-hmm. And this year, they're held on November 11th at the Zion Lutheran Church in Pittsfield. Uh-huh. And thanks to Pete Coles, we are going to live stream the awards, and we're going to do a pre-show at the site where I'll get a chance to interview some of the nominees. And the Berkshire Theater Critics Association Awards cover theaters in Western Massachusetts.
As far as here?
From Springfield to the New York state line.
Wow.
Including all the Berkshires.
Sure.
Southern Vermont up to Dorset Theater. Really? Connecticut to the Sharon Playhouse, Hartford Stage, and Theater Works.
Does it include Goodspeed? No, because that's professional.
This is only professional theaters.
These are professional.
These are the equity companies. And also New York State, McCaden, and Ancram Opera House, and some of the others in New York State that are contiguous.
Sure.
There are 22 award categories, just like the Tony Awards: Best New Production of a Play, Best Solo, Best Ensemble, Outstanding Leading Actor and Actress, Scenic Design, Costume Design, etc., and so forth. The Berkshire Theater Critics Association held nominations early in October because the play could have run from October 1st of last year to September 30th of this year. It had to have at least opened. And they did the nominations, and then if you paid your dues to the association, then you could vote for the actual winners. And those, I must have submitted my list maybe 2 weeks ago.
So
the nominees are announced. The best place to find them is on BerkshireOnStage.org.
Yeah.
And
is that difficult to choose? Sometimes apples and oranges. I
got to as a nominator. You had to see the show. Okay, so in my case, I missed a lot of theater. I didn't see anything from January 30th till May.
Right.
While I was recovering.
Right.
And then I didn't cover a lot of shows, so I could only nominate that which I had seen, and I could nominate up to 5 people per category. And then I believe when they tallied everything up and it was time to vote for the winners, there were 4 per category that you could vote for, 4 nominees per category. And it's very difficult because, first of all, I didn't see a lot. And of what I did see, you like everything. You have to go back through your reviews and your playbills to recall some of the shows that you saw and the performances and the set designs. Some immediately came to mind because I remembered them.
Yeah.
But the awards are pretty well spaced out. I think a lot of theaters are recognized in one way or another. The 2 awards that personally appeal to me, one is for Best New Play.
Oh, very important.
And a lot of new plays and musicals premiere in these theaters. It cannot have been done anywhere else. And it could have been done as a workshop, but a first professional production.
Sure.
And the other one is called the Larry Murray Award. Now, Larry Murray was a Boston theater publicist who moved to the Berkshires and became a real advocate for live performing arts in the Berkshires.
Right.
He helped establish the Berkshire Theater Critics Awards, sadly died several years ago, and the board of the Berkshire Theater Critics created the Larry Murray Award, and it is for outstanding community service by someone in the arts.
Around their producing cultural events, or is it
making their theater more accessible, doing something in the community that makes them an outstanding theater leader?
Gotcha.
And they've given some special awards in the past. Charlie Seidenberg, who is the press representative from Barrington Stage, was given an award, a special award, because they wanted to honor the publicists and the marketing people in the theaters who provide all of us with the information we need to write about a show in advance or to write a review.
So do you want to give us a preview of perhaps as we look at the Berkeys to think, I remember Mark Auerbach suggested this. Is there possible?
I could tell you some of the people I voted for, or some of the plays and musicals that really impacted me personally.
Gotcha.
In terms of musicals, I thought that Barrington Stage Company's production of Next to Normal was one of the best productions of a musical that I've ever seen. And one of the reasons was the director, Alan Paul, utilized film and projection in the course of presenting this musical. The performances were outstanding, but the fact that cameras were following actors around just blew me away. It was an unbelievable production.
Now, Next to Normal is a very interesting because it's a rock musical, or it has a sensibility that is not your strict Jerry Herman Broadway
it won the Pulitzer Prize. It's been done by many theaters. This isn't the first production. In fact, it was just running at Exit 7.
Yeah, and it's about a bipolar mother. Is that correct? And having to deal with
a mother who's dealing with bipolar. There's problems at home, and they're a typical suburban family.
Right.
And how the family is impacted by the mother's illness and deals with it.
Gotcha. So that's one.
That's one.
What's another?
Let me take a sip here.
Oh, sure. Of course.
Excuse me.
Yeah, you can also, always Google and or go to YouTube and put in the name of the show if you want to get a taste of it or whatever. So Next to Normal for you folks that are looking.
I think in terms of new play and solo performance and
if he doesn't win, I'd be surprised.
Best production of a play, Jay Sefton for Unreconciled.
Gotcha.
Jay and Mark Basquiel wrote Jay's story about a teenager in a theater camp who's abused by the priest that runs the theater company, and how Jay recovers from abuse.
Yeah. Has that been done in New York as well?
It premiered in a workshop a couple of years ago at Chester. They decided to produce...
Chester Theater Company.
Yeah, they produced the world premiere. It went to a theater festival in Ireland.
Oh, my God.
Went to New York, and it's played in P-Town, and Jay is working on other productions. He's currently starring in A Moon for the Misbegotten at the Majestic. He's a phenomenal actor.
Yeah.
But this play is so incredibly well written and so moving.
It's different than Doubt, which deals with that same
Much
kind of
different
thing.
because Jay is telling his own story.
Ah.
And he's a brilliant writer.
Right.
But he's an even more brilliant actor. And it's nominated for 3 awards.
Right.
Best New Play, Best Production of a Play,
Right.
and Best Performance by an Actor.
Wow.
So I put my money on Unreconciled. I think it was a phenomenal. It had a major impact on me. And I know Jay.
Yeah.
As an actor.
Sure.
And he's been on my program multiple times.
Right.
We've gotten to know each other outside of, work, and I'm just in awe of the fact that he could
tell his story,
and he's part of Survivor Stories too.
I love it.
I love it, which is really great.
So the Berkeys are happening.
They're Monday, November 11th.
Okay.
At 7:00,
and we can watch them live on our channel,
WestfieldTV.org, and our pre-show will be at 6:00. Probably because one of my dreams was to interview these people, the nominees from like Berkshire Theater Group, Shakespeare and Company, Wham, Chester, depending on who shows up.
The Larry Murray Award, is that already announced or
no?
No.
And I didn't. The board of directors of the Berkshire Theater Critics Association hands that one out, so I have no idea who will be chosen.
Right.
Julianne Boyd from Barrington Stages won. Tina Packer from Shakespeare and Company is one.
These are top-notch
So
folks.
I don't know who the person's going to be.
Yeah.
And that'll be a nice surprise. But in our pre-show, the nominees that are showing up are going to stop by to chat. I inside out.
What are you wearing? Are you wearing? Do they wear a tux?
I don't know what I'm going to wear, but it's like I can't wait to put a microphone in front of someone and say, "Who are you wearing?"
Oh,
like Joan Rivers. Who are you wearing?
Oh, yeah, it's exactly. And so with next November 11th, and it will be archived on YouTube so that folks can.
The pre-show will be. I don't know if we're going to if we're going to archive.
It would almost seem that Berkshire Theater would like to do that. I mean,
but that's
or Berkshire.
That would probably be a Channel 15 show, not a WSKB show.
Yeah.
I see.
Yeah.
They might both be Channel 15. They might both appear on the Channel 15 YouTube page, not WSKB, because they're really not radio shows. They're on the Channel 15 shows.
I understand.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. I mean, it's up to Pete whether we do it or not. But the thing is that one of the reasons I wanted to do it is I do a lot of arts coverage on this little network that Pete has developed.
Of course.
And I think that by doing something, a big regional event like this takes our programming up a notch and gets us more, what do you want to say?
Really wants me to beg for the truck. I want the truck.
Yeah. And for example, we put out a press release about it. This has appeared in Broadway World, which is national.
Yeah, very, very true. And Broadway World covers all the important things. So to get it on in Broadway World, oh my God.
And I'm sure as we get closer to the date, other media will cover it. But it was such a thrill for me to see, Westfield Community Programming at 89.5 FM, WSKB, and Agawam Media and Southwood Community Television in a national theater website.
Oh, I love
and
it.
News
Oh, it's so good, so good. Hey, let's take a break because we're going to come back and we have to talk some Maso. And we're going to talk Maso. Moso? Yeah, can you
Springfield Chamber players. Sure,
yeah.
I'll talk about that.
And I want to talk about Johnny Appleseed. I want to also have you recommend a Broadway show or two, maybe at the Bushnell here in Hartford or touring the country.
I think we might have a crossover show coming up at TheaterWorks that might involve one of our other shows.
Okay, so let's
talk. I looked at
So I'm going to play. This is an interesting, and you're going to hear a scratchiness to this. It's actually appropriate. Back in the 30s and the 40s, there was a group called Ray Ventura Jazz Orchestra, and they played a lot of classical music in a jazz orchestra kind of way, and like a big band sound. And this is actually the Camille Saint-Saëns Danse Macabre, that it's always skeletons dancing or whatever, but this is really interesting, and I love the scratchiness of this. Danse Macabre, the Ray Ventura Jazz Orchestra.
Support for community radio on WSKB is provided by Betts Plumbing and Heating Supply Company, an independent, family-owned wholesaler serving Westfield for over 50 years, specializing in plumbing, heating, and industrial piping supplies. On the web at bettsplumbing.com or at 14 Coleman Avenue in Westfield.
Join us every Thursday morning
from 6 until at least 7:30.
Check out the Bobby G and Company Show
right here on WSKB 89.5
Community Radio.
89.5 WSKB. Live from Studio 120 at Westfield Technical Academy, this is WCPC Channel 15 and 89.5 FM, WSKB Westfield.
Wow, it is Tuesday. It is October 29th, 2024, and counting. Oh my gosh, where you are, it's October 29th. I wish you you got your costume. I'm going to a Halloween party this week. It's called Sexy Salem. So I'm going to be wearing the costume that I wore with a little additional stuff. I wore it at Pumpkin Fest. It's like the Wizard of Oz, only I'm changing it up. You know, men can always take something, and if you make your face, well, I don't need to do anything about my face for Halloween, but you know what I'm saying. So I'm wearing that, and I'm hoping for the best. But what do you're doing anything for Halloween?
I'm going to a party, and I'm going to wear my costume for Johnny Appleseed.
Yeah, tell me about this. What is this?
Well, Johnny Appleseed is the Springfield Chamber Players production.
I called it Mosso. It used to be Mosso, but now
it's sort
Mosso or whatever.
Mosso, yeah. It's the musicians of the Springfield Symphony Orchestra.
Yeah.
But we produced and presented Johnny Appleseed, which is a folk cantata by Jerry Noble, who's a Westfield-born composer.
Yeah.
Last May.
I was there.
In Long Meadow. You were there.
Oh, yeah.
We're bringing it to 52 Sumner, Sunday afternoon, December 8th at 3 o'clock.
Uh-huh.
My dream is to bring it to Westfield at some point.
Yeah.
It's 4 short pieces. One is Ferdinand the Bull, which is a wonderful story for kids.
Yeah.
One is The Swan from
the guy that wrote Dance Macabre.
From Carnival of the Animals.
Yeah.
One is by Peter Shickley, which I get to be in.
Oh, my gosh, I love it.
Called The Boston Wonder. It's about a flute maker in Boston who creates a flute called the Boston Wonder, and the flute goes rogue. That's all I'm going to say.
Okay.
And then Johnny Appleseed. And it's got a big cast in it. It's got Jerry Noble's playing the piano.
Right.
I'm going to leave somebody out. Marcia Harbison is doing violin.
Right.
Boris Kogan is doing cello. Michael Nix is doing banjo.
Banjo? Oh, yeah, because you need it for Johnny Appleseed.
Yeah. Ellen Redmond, who lives in Westfield, is doing flute. And then Karen Noble, Justina Golden, who's a singer. Karen Noble's the narrator. Marty Kluger and I are the narrators for the program.
Wild.
And you can get tickets for that at SpringfieldSymphonyMusicians.com. But I'm so excited to go back on stage. I did it last spring.
Yeah.
Looking forward to doing it in December.
Wonderful, wonderful. If you were going to Broadway now, you don't necessarily have, for us, Bushnell has some great shows.
Bushnell, they've got...
Bushnell is in Hartford, but these are touring companies that if you are in another state, you can always look at. The touring companies are wonderful, aren't they?
They're first class in Hartford. They've got MJ... the Michael Jackson musical. The Lion King is coming in November. Next spring, they've got Some Like It Hot.
My God.
I am counting the days.
You got to see that.
The Wiz, the current Broadway production of The Wiz.
With Wayne Brady or no?
I don't know who's in it. We'll be in it on tour, but it's going to, I believe it closes in New York and then goes right onto the road.
They're doing also A Beautiful Noise.
They did that already.
They did it.
They did it already.
Oh, God.
I went to see that. I loved it.
Was it? Really? Now
I didn't think I'd want to go.
Jukebox musicals.
I didn't think I'd want to go, but I like Neil Diamond's music.
Right.
I was astounded at how good it was. It really told his story from a different perspective. The Neil Diamond of today who had to quit performing because he had Parkinson's and couldn't perform anymore is talking to his therapist about his career and getting over the depression of having to stop performing. And it goes back in time to different times in his life with his music.
Yeah.
I knew some of his music, but I didn't know how much of it I knew growing up when we grew up.
We were singing his songs that other folks made popular.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, the Monkees, I'm a Believer, the song that the Monkees made famous was written by Neil Diamond.
Yeah. It was
wonderful show. I love going to the Bushnell. First of all, it's easy to get to.
Touring productions, because productions tour over. Oh, tell us about is the quality of a touring production equal to that of Broadway?
It's equal in terms of performance. The difference is because it has to fit into so many different theaters that have different sized stages.
Yes.
You come to the Bushnell, and it's the largest stage you could have on the road.
Oh,
okay.
Really?
The Bushnell is huge.
Oh, I didn't know.
So the sets expand. But sometimes, I could not tell the difference when I saw the tour of Funny Girl.
Right.
Could not tell the difference between the Broadway show and Funny Girl.
Right.
And a friend of mine who works in one of the theaters, the Proctors in Schenectady.
Oh, sure.
A lot of shows the tours launch there or in Providence. And says that Some Like It Hot on tour is better than the Broadway production. And to me, Some Like It Hot was so incredible. If it's better on tour, it's phenomenal.
Wow. So be looking for Some Like It Hot, which is produced by, it's the music is by
Mark Shaman and Scott Whitman, who wrote Hairspray.
Hairspray always seems to be on the road for some reason.
It's always on the road. Annie seems to be on the road all the time.
Yeah.
But, they brought back Les Mis last week.
Oh, really?
In Hartford. And The Lion King is coming for I don't know how many times it's been to Hartford.
Sure.
That show is just as good as Broadway with all the special effects. And when Wicked returned last year, and Wicked has probably been at the Bushnell 4 or 5 times, the tour is as good as you're going to see on Broadway.
Okay. So when someone is purchasing a ticket for a tour, are you paying Broadway prices?
No, I don't know what Broadway prices really mean anymore. Because they sell ticket prices in New York based the way the airlines do. If there's a big demand, the ticket prices are higher. If there's no demand, the ticket prices are lower. I find the Bushnell to be a bargain. I can't tell you what the ticket prices are per show.
Right.
But when you add in that you get free parking at the Bushnell, and there's a cafe that's reasonably priced for drinks or coffee or sandwiches and stuff like that. It's a real affordable evening for a Broadway evening.
And one of the ways to do it is to think, okay, maybe do a Saturday matinee or Wednesday matinee, because those are less expensive. Matinees are less expensive.
I think they're pretty much the same price across the board. And they have Saturday and Sunday matinees. But the thing is that if you add up what it costs to go to New York and see a show. If you drive, it's gas and tolls. And parking.
Parking.
Even if you have one of those apps that you can find parking in the theater district, you could spend $50 to park your car for 2 hours.
Oh, man, yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
Oh, and if you
Park
take
in New Haven, for God's sakes, and take the Metro North End.
Go drive to Windsor Locks and take CT Rail.
Oh, there we are.
I'd rather wait for a touring company and go to the Bushnell.
Yeah, the Bushnell to me is far more affordable, equally enjoyable.
Yeah.
And I have the Bushnell people on my show all the time. And they really scout to make sure they're bringing in a good tour.
And oftentimes, am I right that a tour oftentimes tries to, I don't want to use the word mimic, but if the star is looking a little bit like, or the characters...
No. I mean, the tours are supervised by the original director, the original choreographer. The set designs, costumes, lights are the original, scaled for different theaters.
Right. And how about live music? Are they using live music?
Of course.
Oh, okay.
Of course.
Okay.
So
good.
you're getting a Broadway experience, and the tickets are not cheap, but they're not New York prices.
Gotcha. Well, that's good to hear.
So you find out what's coming to the Bushnell. It's Bushnell, BUSHNELL.org.
Right.
Order the tickets online.
Is there a way to look at what's coming nationally, touring-wise? Because Boston also has tours.
Well, you can find tours.
And Albany, I'm sure. But is there a way?
What I do is I look at Playbill online.
Playbill.com.
Playbill magazine, that you get when you go to New York.
Oh, you get a Playbill.
Playbill online has a list of the national companies and where they're playing.
And it's called playbillonline.com?
I think
maybe playbill.com.
Playbill.com or something like that.
Yeah.
You can find out what's playing at the Bushnell,
right.
the Schubert in New Haven,
right.
which is an hour away. They get some Broadway stuff. The
right.
Hanover in Worcester gets some Broadway things. And at Hanover, they often play 2 or 3 nights.
Gotcha.
So it's a different level
sure.
of touring show. In Boston, the 3 theaters in Boston, the tours, and the Proctors in Schenectady.
Gotcha. And throughout the country, because Playbill Online is for
the tours
information.
go all over the country. They go out for Funny Girl. When it came to Hartford last June, the tour had gone out on the road immediately after the Broadway show had closed the previous September, and still has a year to go. Some Like It Hot opened 2 weeks ago on tour, and it's not coming until the end of April.
I got to get a ticket for this.
To Hartford, and then has a year's tour after that.
Yeah. Hey, everyone. Marco, it's been so good to have you aboard. I wish you all the best. I want you to come back often. We can talk. You can read about you can read Mark's columns in the Westfield News and beyond. The Brookies are November 11th right here at WCPC.
I'll be at westfieldtv.org at 6 o'clock for a pre-show, 7 o'clock the show itself.
Wow.
And I hope folks will hang around on Friday mornings for Survivor Stories on our network.
And On the Mark is also available.
And On the Mark in Artsby. So I'm a busy kid.
You are busy, busy, busy. Well, listen, go to Westfield on weekends for all the busyness that's happening in Westfield cultural life. It is for Westfield, westfieldonweekends.com. Meanwhile, I'm going to play, this is the scariest. Oh, my God, this is so scary. This is Screamin' Jay Hawkins for Halloween. This, I Put a Spell on You, but listen to him. He's the scariest. This was the original back in 1957. Screamin' Jay Hawkins. Listen, have the best Halloween and boo.
Boo.
Boo. Boo.
I put a spell on you. Because you're mine. Stop the things you do. What's up? I ain't lying. I can't stand no running around. I can't stand no putting me down. I put a spell on you. Because you're mine. Oh, yeah. Stop the things you do. What's up? I ain't lying. Oh, I love you. I love you. I love you anyhow. I don't care if you don't want me. I'm yours right now. I put a spell on you.